What's happening, everyone? It's KG here from the Football Capital, and we are doing our first A-League preview show for the season. And with me, we've got a couple of special guests. So the regulars, or the host of the Football Capital English Premier League edition, Borche. We've got Damo, one of our regular pundits that is having a pretty hard time lately with Liverpool. I know that our mate over here's been adding him, if we can say that.
I don't know about that.
And you know what? Privileged to have from RBTV, Banana.
We're here. Well, I'm here.
He's here. He's definitely here.
He's definitely here. He's allowed in the building. He's allowed in the building.
Deep almost, man. We're getting there.
We'll see how many we can get through by the end of the show. But thanks, fellas, and obviously we wanted to go ahead and jump straight into the A-League, and it kicks off this weekend on Friday with a match between Brisbane Roar and Melbourne City. But wanted to do a general preview and just see where your thoughts are at in terms of where the teams are going to sort of finish during the season, a couple of players that we're looking to highlight and keep an eye on, and just have a bit of, banter towards each other's teams. It's 3 against 1 at the moment, but, wears it with pride, Borche. So we'll kick off, if we can, let's have a look at where we think some of the teams are going to finish at the top of the ladder. If we were to call out a standout, I've got something here on the screen, and maybe we start with, Melbourne City. They've recruited well. Probably not as much as other teams, but they didn't probably need to change the dynamic of the team that much. But a big signing in Matthew Leckie. Thoughts?
I think it's a good signing.
Good signing, mate.
I say what was it his first game in how long for the Socceroos the other day?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I know it was tough conditions, but I think he did all right. He didn't do too bad, and I think with the players that he's got around him at Melbourne City, especially if he can link up with McLaren, and we all know what kind of player McLaren is as well. I think, like you said, they didn't add much players, but I think Leckie coming in, that's like 4 new players for them compared to some of the other A-League teams. Yeah,
in terms of the names that they've recruited, and obviously, not to mention Naboo's there as well.
That's right.
So a very strong front three, and I know Banana last season, I should say, we touched on it when we played against Melbourne City, how strong their front three was. Yeah, what are you thinking about, obviously, the addition of Matt Leckie?
Well, he's a good addition, but can he get into the squad?
You reckon?
In the squad, man.
You
Honestly,
reckon?
Bro, is he good enough to get into the squad with what's his name, Tilio? And what's the other bloke's on the other side's name? You got Naboo too. There's another bloke, another young bloke they're pushing up. The Macedonian bloke, your bloke.
Oh, yeah, Kolakowski.
Well, the one,
Yeah, him too, bro.
Lucky you were here, huh?
wasn't he from the Wanderers? Did he go?
I'm
Where
not
did he
too
go?
sure. I'm not knowing the research about him.
But yeah, look, it's going to be an interesting season for somebody like Melbourne City. Again, they have lost a few players. So one of our own now, Rami Najareen, has come across. They lost Craig Noon. Ben Garuccio. Just looking at a few names here. Do we think that they're going to have the depth to be as successful as they have been in the last, say, couple of seasons, and obviously taking out the title last year?
Yeah, man. I reckon they'll definitely have the depth. And even just with their signings, since the money came in, they're always going to be a powerhouse now, right? Even though the salary cap's in place, players want to go there just because it's City. So yeah, I think they'll be all good.
I think they can take the next step with that little olive branch there they've got now.
You think so? They go the next step. What's the next?
Not as far into the Premier League, but go overseas somewhere.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, in terms of the connections that they have with other clubs, I mean, look, that's always going to be a draw card for somebody like Melbourne City. They obviously can have those types of connections, and I think probably the first one that sort of kicked it all off was Aaron Moy, right? Like when he had the opportunity to go across, and
that's all a scam, bro. It's all a scam. Like these guys, they sign them to Manchester City. Only to loan him out. I think who was the other guy that they did that to? Azani? Was it Azani? Nah.
No, it wasn't Azani. I think
or Antonis or something. Caceres. One of them.
It was Caceres.
They did the same thing, bro. And this is what they do. They sell him a dream. Fucking Manchester City, the Dogs. You know, and now they get all the best players here, mate. I've had enough of these guys already.
Yeah, tell us how you really feel.
I've had enough of them already,
Take your
mate.
pants off, fuck it.
But you're right.
Georgievsky retired. It's all over for them Melbourne City now, bro.
Well, hey, he got a title at the end, Georgievsky.
He got the title, bro.
He was there all of 2 minutes, but he ended up getting a title. But that obviously that's a bit of a loophole in regards
He's got a new
to
gig now, huh? Commentator.
really.
Commentators
he's
got
retired. It's finished. He's
retired.
done.
He's
Okay,
done.
well, if, we might reach out to him see if he wants to do an episode. You know, we'll get another Macedonian on.
And I think he's got something to say
enough of them
about
already.
the Wanderers board there, bro. I think he's got some words. So maybe on your channel,
Hey,
he can expose them, mate. He can expose them there at
We exposed him,
RBTV.
or our boss exposed him. He disappeared from the team.
yeah, actually, that is true. Boss dropped the bomb and then never to see him ever again. But I think like just that loophole that we're talking about, that's because A-League teams can't transfer to one another. They can't collect transfer fees, so they use the loophole to sign them to Manchester City and then loan them back out to other clubs here. So I don't know. They've worked it out. They seem to be smart enough to work it out. So we'll see how they go. But you know, across the panel, we sort of think they're definitely a top 2 team or outside the top 2.
No,
No,
that could go,
easy,
definitely
yeah.
can
Easy
go
top
back to
two.
back. Definitely can go back to back. But yeah, top 2 for sure.
Top 2 for sure. I just want to move across to the other side of the city with Melbourne Victory, because obviously a soft spot for us a little bit with Tony Popovic, now the head coach over there, and he's dragged a few players across there as well. They had probably a bit of the same issue that Western Sydney Wanderers have at the moment in terms of they weren't picking up results, and now they're making big moves to try and change that around a little bit. Damo, just over to you. Like, what are your thoughts on them? Signing somebody like Tony Popovic and trying to rebuild the culture at the club.
Yeah, I think he's probably the perfect guy to do it, right? He did it with us. You saw how we went with a bunch of average players at the start of the season, right? With Popper there, obviously, regardless of the players, he's gonna push them hard. So it wouldn't surprise me if they see finals football with some of their signings as well.
Yeah, like just looking at some of the names: Jason Davidson, Josh Brillante, Jason Guerrier, Matt Sporanovic, Brendan Hamill, Chris Economides. I might as well just read out the old Wanderers lineup, but you can see that there's a fair few defensive additions to the squad. What do you guys think in terms of, do you think Tony Popovic will have a good first season at Melbourne Victory? Where does it end up? Because, I sort of see him as somebody who starts seasons or, his tenure at clubs really well and then just falls off like he did at the Wanderers, like he did at Perth. So, and don't even want to talk about what happened at Turkey.
It's an interesting one because I think they do need to bounce back after last season, especially. Well, that Wooden Spooners or close.
I think so.
Well, they've had 2 poor seasons, Victory. So
It's not like them.
yeah, it's not. That's right. So I think they got someone like Popovic in because he's the guy that can bring him back up. And I think we've seen him do it before. Like you said, at the Wanderers, the first season, second season, he ended up winning the Champions League in the second season?
Second,
yep.
Second season.
Yep.
He goes over to Perth Glory, gets us the minor premiers, the premiers play. Obviously, Santalab wants to do Panankas in the final. But it's all right. It's all right. Like, he got us to the final. That's the main thing. But
He listens to me when I send him the message.
Yeah.
Do me a favour.
that's your fault there, eh?
Do us a favour.
What do you mean do us a favour?
We don't want Sydney to win.
Sydney FC got another win there. But,
Jeez.
but I think he will do good. I think with the players that he's got, look, he's ripped half the Perth Glory squad there.
Yep.
Chris Economides, D'Agostino or something. He's there too.
Yep. Actually, I didn't even realise.
So
the Agostino's
they're
gone.
big
They've
losses.
got-
The big losses
for
for
me,
us, but they
For the big winner they got there is Brillante, man. He's a
Josh Brillante, yeah.
He's a top player, bro. He's a man of steel, bro, in the middle, bro. You can't get past him. We've copped it against him, bro, when we've played before when he was at Sydney, man. You can't get past the bloke. He's just
I think they named him captain today as well, from what I saw.
Brillante.
Oh, really?
Wow.
There you go. There's a bit of info that we probably didn't know of. Lucky Damo's on the
Didn't
socials
look like could be
today.
wrong, to be honest,
on the
but
phone to him. He was on the phone
That's
to
the
him.
biggest.
Yeah.
That's the biggest flip I've ever seen. Like, yeah, he was named captain today, but you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. But I just wanted to ask you, Banana, because we talk about active support a lot, and do the Melbourne Victory fans start coming back?
I reckon they will.
Yeah.
I honestly reckon they will. Probably not the old Northern Terrace, but whatever they got behind the goal. Well, I don't know what they call it at the moment. But they'll be back in full swing, man. They'll be putting the rest of the A League on notice. even us ourselves.
I think with COVID over and was it 75% at the moment?
I think now
Not
they've moved to
full.
100.
Is that in Melbourne?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Oh,
In
yeah,
Melbourne,
actually.
yeah, it's different. So
It might be 75%, but surely now, like I think you guys were touching it on Banana on your channel about for last season, our fans allowed back in the stadium and people still at times
Yeah,
weren't
it's
going. There's no
100%.
excuse now, yeah. There's no excuse, especially for the bigger teams with the bigger membership, like your Victories, like your Wanderers, Sydney FC, even Sydney FC, a bit of a dip there in terms of support. I know they're bouncing in between stadiums and all that, Cogra at the moment, but like, there's no excuses anymore. Like you were saying with the fan bases, I think this is the season, especially with you guys at the Wanderers, where it's your 10th season.
it shouldn't be an excuse, man. If you're going for a team, bro, you go wherever they play, man. Simple
No,
as that.
that's right, but that's what I'm saying. So I think this season, especially for the Wanderers, especially what Victory have got going now with Popovic coming in and the plays that they brought in, no more excuses. Let's get these terraces back rocking again like they used to be. Stop banning these fans, bro. Come on, this board, man. What's going on here, mate?
Putting hot sauce on people.
Ah,
you know?
come
Yeah.
You
But-
got us sitting down in the standing zones, mate. What's going on?
It's not
I ju-
safe.
I just know
Standing station.
yeah, it was one of the best away trips that you look forward to, right? As a fan, obviously a Western Sydney Wanderers fan, but as a fan in general, it was one of the best away trips that you'd go to. That rivalry was sort of the 1v2 in terms of active support. It was always there, but it's died off probably on both sides now, and we've touched on it in other conversations around Sydney FC. Whilst they've had success, they haven't had the fans. They've stuck around. The fans have stuck around, but they haven't really. I think if Melbourne Victory or Western Sydney Wanderers had the same results on the pitch, those stadiums will be packed out, and you're struggling to get tickets, and Stoss won't make it to a game. So, I just think I just want to see.
A-League will benefit. I think the A-League benefits when we're on the top and Victory on top. These two big teams.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Sydney,
with
it's not as much as Sydney, but if there were all three of us in the top, right?
but that's the thing. Now with the whole rebranding of the league, and what they're trying to do is get the fans more involved with the clubs. This is what the fans want. Get the tifos back out there instead of stopping the fans from standing up. You can't stand up now. What's going on here? You know what I mean? Things like that. Bring the fans back into the stadiums. Like we've seen it with the Wanderers. When you guys first started out, some people were just coming just to see the RBB, but you're getting bums on seats, and that's what it will be interesting to see now what happens with the whole rebranding of the league. And are they sticking true to their word? Are they going to get the fans involved, or is it going to be, we don't really care about the fans?
No, but let's hope now who the deal they got with Channel 10. They've got the
Paramount
broadcast deal with Saturday night. Let's hope they promote it right, man.
That's
Like
right.
they do with the other sports they have. Was it the cricket? They've got the
AFL,
AFL, Big Bash. They promote it right. People go.
That's the thing, yeah.
And look, it's exciting to see some of the more familiar faces continue to do the actual, commentary for the competition, and probably a big one. Simon Hill, Butcher. He's back. Butcher's mate is back. But I
What's
think
the go there? I'm unaware. of this
We've had a
story.
bit of Instagram, conversation, but he's all right, Simon Hill. If you ever want to jump on, feel free.
So have
Feel
been
free.
me and Mel McLaughlin, but my one we off.
No.
That's for another time. That's for another
That
show.
Lucy Zelich has blocked me, so don't worry about
She
that
blocked
one.
you?
Yeah, she blocked me. Yeah, so it's all right.
I think you've won there, bro.
Yeah, we've won.
Butcher's a red flag just walking around social media. So, but it was a good conversation. But it's good to see Simon Hill back behind the mic.
As long
we
as it's
missed him
not
last
Ned
year.
Zelich, mate. If Ned Zelich is still about, mate,
Individual brilliance.
individual
Where is
brilliance
that? Where is he now?
and the ingredients and the,
Individually, he was not brilliant, so they've moved him on.
Has he-
Circulating
where's
for
he
the
gone?
Bucks
Where's he gone, mate?
We can't find him. Do we think it's a top 6 or top 4 finish for the Victory this year?
I reckon top
Yeah.
2.
I reckon
really?
third. I reckon
Top
third.
two.
I reckon third. I think the highest they can get, in my opinion, is third.
Third, top 2 for Banana. So
I'm
so
going
1,
top
2
with
Melbourne.
The 2 Melbourne teams, man. Top 2.
Wow, big call, Damo.
Nah, top 4 for me, bro.
Top 4. All right. Well, let's see how that pans out for Victory.
Top 4, but they'll finish third.
I reckon top 10.
They may top 4, but they'll
Top
finish
4,
third.
they'll
you know?
finish third. No worries. Okay, let's finish off Melbourne, right? Let's talk about Western United. So now that we spoke about them, let's move on from Western United. But no, we'll cover Western United.
John Aloisi, he's back.
I don't know what they're
Aloisi.
thinking.
Straight up, bro.
Don't know what they're thinking.
Needs a job.
I
Needs a
did
job.
not rate
mate.
him as a manager, but straight out, bro.
I didn't rate him as a commentator either, but like he had a very unsuccessful stint at Melbourne Heart. So now Melbourne City, obviously.
Wasn't he at the Raw as well?
Yeah,
Brisbane?
he
He
had
had
one
Raw.
little good time at Raw, and that's about it, bro. Apart from that, he's
Yep.
just kept his standard.
I just think that there's other managers out there that you could possibly look at and overlook, or look past John Aloisi anyway. But he's there now. He's at the helm because, obviously he's now sweeping through that team. We've got a list of changes here in regards to people that he's, moved on and then brought in. But two big names that sort of stand out for me. They're a bit older and they're a bit on in years now, but Jamie Young, goalkeeper. I didn't really know that he left Brisbane Raw. And the other one for me is good old Nikolai Topper-Stanley.
Topper made the move over there.
Yeah,
Mate, I
Topper's
think-
over there.
I think, has he got to every club now?
I think he's,
Surely
yeah.
he has. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got to every club.
Yeah,
Hall of
yeah.
Fame. He's got every trophy.
Has he gone? Has he gone to the Phoenix?
Hasn't gone to Mariners. He hasn't gone
Has
to
he been at
Wellington.
Brisbane?
He's got time. He's got time.
Brisbane.
January transfer window, mate. Make a move.
He can sign up for another team. Actually, another one that's just popping out of me at the moment is Dylan Wenzel-Halls. I didn't know he'd
Oh,
made
I
the
actually
move.
rate him.
Yeah,
I actually
yeah,
wanted him at Wanderers, man.
Yeah.
Wanted him. I rate him.
I think that's a big one. I don't see the attraction around Western United. It's not one of those, top clubs within the A-League that I think,
It should be
likes-
South Melbourne, but yeah, anyway.
South
Western
Melbourne,
United.
yep. But like you look at it, and if you looked at the three teams in Melbourne, you wouldn't pick that one as your first choice or first destination to sort of land with the appeal of obviously Melbourne City, like we touched on, and the history of Melbourne victory. But how do we think they're going to go? They've lost a fair few as well. But Besart Berisha to name one. Boy, just still reliving the grand final from
Yes.
from what was it, 8 years ago, something like that.
I don't know.
But
time.
I don't see them as a squad that's going to go very far.
Yeah, you know what they're going to be? They're going to be a pest of a team. When you need a win, it's going to...
They're going to be in the way.
They're
They're going to be in the way of making
Best,
it, making the top six.
Best
or
United,
the-
we'll call them, not Western United,
But
bro.
no, I reckon they will struggle a little bit. I think they'll be thereabouts for top six, but then I think they'll drop out. I think they won't be far off. I can see them coming seventh, eighth. I think there's worse teams in the competition than these guys. I mean, is Diamante still there, isn't he? Yeah.
He's class, bro.
yeah,
He's honestly just
Yeah,
class,
see, you feed him the ball, mate. I know they got Neil Kilkenny from Perth. He's still a decent player. But other than that, they don't really got much.
Did he
What's Aloisi?
really go to Western United?
Yeah.
It's silly, bro.
He thought it was Western United was another fucking Perth team. He thought it would just go up the road, mate. And he's like, nah, see you later. On the other side.
Silly, bro.
Yeah, no new franchise here. We've already
franchise.
got one.
But I reckon they won't be bad. They'll probably just miss out. Like same as I think they're about seventh, eighth in my opinion this season.
Yep.
Then again, John Aloisi, like, I don't know.
Nah, bro.
Never know.
He'll be
What-
gone.
what do you reckon?
I reckon he'll get the sack this year. I reckon.
5
He'll get
games
the
in,
sack,
huh?
bro.
How many games, Banana, you give him?
I'll give him 9.
9 games.
9.
We've predicted it here. Damo, what do you
They're
reckon?
going to struggle, bro.
Western United? Yeah, they don't look like they've bolstered up their squad quite the way other teams have. And just sticking with the Western theme, we'll move across to Sydney and go to the Western Sydney Wanderers. Obviously, our team. We're probably the harshest critics at the moment, but we're pretty happy with the recruitment. I know Banana and I've
Very-
covered it
very
as well.
happy so far.
But Damo, looking to you, man. We've had a fair few signings. We've had a lot of attrition in terms of people leaving and coming in. In my opinion, the guys that have come in are probably a little bit better than the ones that have left in similar positions. But what are your thoughts on the new squad?
Yeah, some big signings, man. Like names we know, experience in the league. I think like Adama Traore. A lot of people might say he's
From
a bit
Wolverhampton.
old, or, yeah,
From
Wolverhampton.
Wolverhampton.
But nah,
Do they
man.
got a kid that's
He's
going to
always a
fit?
guy that's been solid for every team he's played at, so he's going to be good for us at the back. And you can't look past, Petrados and Antonis. On paper, they should be doing a job for us every week, so hopefully they can deliver.
And I guess from all those signings, who's sort of your standout in that group? Because there's a lot of them. There's over 10 new signings. Who's sort of your guy?
Hamed, actually. We need some goals, right? If he
Yeah.
can score every
Juki's
week,
gone.
Let's
so
hope
he's
he-
gone.
let's hope he delivers, man.
Yeah,
Let's hope.
hopefully.
Well, hopefully he gets the
Juki's gone,
service.
so I think he's. Well, he delivered for Wellington, didn't he? And he was like, and Wellington.
Well, look who was behind him, but Davila was
Yeah,
behind
right.
him.
Yeah, that's right. But what about Rodwell for you, Damo?
the Manchester City legend.
Southampton wonder kid.
Man,
Ah.
bro, if he's playing like
What's he
he's
here
in
for?
the Premier League, what do you
What's
want?
he here for,
Like,
mate?
I see maybe on the
I've honestly, I've never watched him play. I've honestly never watched him. Even though where he's been, I've never watched him play. So I don't know what to expect from him, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, like he's an ex-Premier League player, but he's not that, he's not that, that
not a
marquee
Daniel
signing.
Sturridge.
He's
Or
gonna put bums on seats.
yeah, people aren't coming to see him in particular. So it's it's going to be an interesting signing with him. I actually think, did we actually need him? He's not that. I don't know what he adds to the squad that we'd already built. If he was one of the first signings and you sort of built to accommodate for him as well, I understand. But he's our most recent signing, so I don't really know what he's going to add.
It's not a bad sign when you sign someone you're not really phased about it. Like, so
Yeah, or
you don't
excited.
really want him.
Yeah, and that's sort of where we touched on it earlier with not on another conversation in regards to Perth, where they've signed Sturridge, right, and that's the person that's going to get you guys to everybody else who's out there. If you haven't watched Daniel Sturridge play, then you got to buy a ticket to whichever home game you can get to even away game if you're in a different state to go and watch him play. Right, he's the type of signing that you want to see.
Yeah, Wanderers are going to start making these type of signings as well. I mean, you guys, we've the preview. Quick little plug with the RBTV boys and Kev reviewing the Wanderers A-League season. I think you guys touched on it a bit there with the Wanderers not making these, like we were saying, Stos was saying, since Giono, that you really haven't, Dino
Pretty much.
Cressinger, you haven't really had a.
We had Pierre Vicari.
But how can wouldn't I know Perth got like owners. Tony Sage has got money, but like to attract big names, like we've had Robbie Fowler, William Gallas, and all these guys, mate. Won Premier Leagues and Champions League, all this sort of stuff coming to the club. Where the Wanderers, I think there's more of a chance, especially that it's in Sydney. They should be attracting. You guys should be attracting better players. If you
A decent name at least.
a decent name, you know what I mean? Like Ibrahimovic might be available soon, so
I'll take him.
come
bro.
back for
Get
1
the
year.
beast.
Get the crowdfunding going, huh?
Get the crowdfunding.
over.
Pandev.
Pandev.
Look at that.
Hey,
Pandev,
this
mate,
guy.
yeah.
Bring Jericho, bro, at least. Let's see Jericho.
Up front, up front, bro.
Jericho, fucking
Two up
hell.
front. We're playing two up front.
Two up
Dzeko
front,
with the
bro.
hold-up play
We
and
can work
Pandev
something
off the
out.
shoulder. Yeah, it can work.
Which is
But-
deeper
look,
pockets.
That's right. But like I think in terms of the signings that you guys made and recruitment, I think it's pretty decent. It's been, the last couple of seasons has been not the best for the Wanderers in terms of recruitment. But I think this season with Antonis, Petrados coming in as well, I think they're decent signings, bro. I think they're decent signings.
I think the one that obviously stands out in the announcement was confirmed that Williams is going to be our captain. So I just wanted to ask the boys to my right.
Great choice, yeah?
Well,
Great choice.
Great choice,
Ooh.
bro. Great
Hey,
This is
choice.
the guy.
Oh, you rate him?
If anyone wants to be the captain, it's got to be him.
It's got
You don't
Reece-
rate him?
I rate him. I'm trying to fucking bring him over.
Yeah.
Got him back to Perth.
No. I
I'm trying to
think
bring him over to the podcast, mate.
yeah, different conversation.
Different conversation, mate. Fucking open your fucking.
He's on what?
He's 6 beers down, mate. He's 6 beers down. He's not gonna. He hasn't picked that up yet. But do you think he's the right guy to be the captain?
I honestly reckon he's right. Oh, we went to the FFA Cup game during the week, me and Malteser.
Yep.
And
They let you in?
One of my problems, yeah, they let me in there. One of my problems was last season was with McGowan, mate.
Yeah.
I said it immediately. The guy, he's a captain. He's got no voice. You don't have a voice in the back. When you're a captain, you got to be the man, but you got to be the leader, bro. You got to be pushing these blokes.
Oh, he's gone now.
First game I seen is now the FFA Cup game, mate. From the word go, as soon as the whistle blew, he was leading
On to everyone.
front, back, doesn't matter. He had a word on everything,
And that's what you want, right? You need that. You need that direction.
If something was wrong, he was correcting it, man.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with his appointment.
I'm glad with that. Damo, what do you think? I know we haven't seen him play live, but Sorry, as in for the
Yeah,
Wanderers,
he's got
but
experience. Like, who else would you really give it to in the squad, right? A lot of new signings who are probably going to start. He's a
and
good player as well.
that's the hard part, right? Because we said McGowan was the captain last year, and we also almost said like the false captain was Duke when he returned. So even looking around the club with so much turnover, he's the best choice that we've currently got. It's going to be an interesting season for Western Sydney Wanderers. I know that in our preview show for their season, we did give our predictions. Banana predicted them fourth,
I said, yeah.
and I said sixth. Borch, where do you see them?
I think fourth or fifth.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's where they'll. I think a decent squad. If the manager can get them playing this season, if he can maybe stick to a formation instead of changing it up too much, I think they can do well, and they need to.
But he didn't change him. I just kept the same boring formation.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. He's got to change it up. He's got to change it up a little bit, but then stick to it at least. But yeah, fourth, fifth. I think the Wanderers can break finally into that into that final
Let's hope
spot.
we're all wrong and they come first, bro.
That's for you
Top
guys.
three,
Yeah.
top three.
Top three.
You know,
Yeah.
So
Due for it.
2 Melbourne teams and Wanderers.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, mate,
Hard against the Melbourne.
music.
Wait, just quickly, but anyone that we're going to miss in the departures there?
Yeah, so, most notably Bruce Kamau comes to mind and Mitchell Duke. I don't think Duke had the best season last season compared to the one before that. He really held us together the season before. But in my opinion, yeah, it's definitely your Bruce Kamau, who just lit the stadium up last season, and we had a poor season. So imagine what would have happened if he was with this crop of players, how he would have impacted that. I don't know, Banana, what do you think?
Oh, of course, bro. In this team, if we had him still, forget it. But look at some of the players that we've brought in now, and the ones that are on the bench, man, that probably can't even get into the squad. You got Tracy, man. Like, who are you gonna put? Tracy or Petrados in first, man? Who's your pick there, man? I'm going with Petrados, man.
And are we sort of seeing this squad going to be a sort of rotation type squad, or are we looking at them picking?
I hope we stick
to the
same
11?
Like if injury comes in, all right, you've got to make the change. But hopefully we stick with the same squad, man. I know you got to keep Blakes happy, but if you're winning with one squad, man, keep going.
And that's what you want, right? At the end of the day, you just want the results. So if you're getting a result, then you can't really complain. So top four finish across, or maybe fourth, fifth,
fourth this season. Yeah,
for Borch.
Yeah.
Hopefully a strong season for us at Western Sydney Wanderers. Going to the east, if we can talk about the neighbours in Sydney FC, they haven't had as much turnover as some of the other clubs, but some notable mentions that have departed in Alexander Baum-Johann and Ryan McGowan, just to name a few. But they've picked up some strong names as well in Max Burgess, James Donaghy, and Conor O'Toole, just to name a few. Oh, actually, Elvis Kemsoba leaving Melbourne Victory and joining them. I know he had a good hit out in one of the preseason matches for Sydney FC. The glamour club, or whatever you want to call them, they're surely going to be up there this season. Damo, what do you think of the guys across the city?
If they weren't strong enough already, man, bringing in players like Kemsoba, they've already scored plenty of goals. And this guy's pacey. He did decent for Victory, except for the time I think it was offside when he did a couple of backflips. But yeah, man, they're always going to be up there. They're always a well-drilled side. Always win the battle in the midfield.
They keep their players.
Yeah.
They always keep them happy, man. I think that squad they've had for about good maybe 6-7 years now, man. I'll say
could that be maybe the downfall this season of the same players, not much rotation? As in, all right, they did bring in players, at the end of last season and this season as well. But Ninkovic last season didn't really kick off like the past two seasons. But could this be a year where Sydney FC kind of burn out a little bit?
Oh, I reckon when it comes to crunch, like the crunch time, come towards finals time, they'll get that bit of a burnout that you're talking about there. Like I think last season too, they had that in the finals.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
burnt out
I was
in
I was
his-
going to say that last season was probably the indication where they're probably on the decline, if you want to call it that. Probably just a burnout in terms of the players, and obviously it's an aging squad, but the names that they've added sort of help prolong that process. But yeah, I just think they're always up there. I can't, other than the season of our inception at the Wanderers. That season, the one after, there were the only 2 seasons I really remember Sydney FC not being in the top 6. So I don't know how they're going to go this year, but I see them as one of those top 4 teams.
Yeah.
Probably different to Banana in terms of the Melbourne sides. I think they'll probably be that side that pushes one of those 2 Melbourne sides out of the top 2. But you know what? You just never know. With the player turnover, and I'm going to touch on it soon in another team's preview. I just think some of the other teams have really bolstered their clubs, or their squads, I should say, I think it's because of COVID. Because they can't remain overseas, they can't get all the big dollars overseas. They want to come home, and you've seen some players return. We touched on Lecky, we've touched on like Dimi Petratos and things like that. And you'll see that some of the other clubs have actually picked up players along the way that are going to help them
Because
bolster.
of the COVID. Even last season, like we signed Naboo,
Yep.
and literally we signed him. They announced him, and then he went to City.
Melbourne
because
City.
yeah.
all the COVID and all that sort of stuff. But I was doing the predictions. I think I still do think Sydney FC will get second,
Yep.
but won't make the final.
Won't make the grand final.
Won't
Okay.
make the grand final.
Okay, we'll touch on that again. But what do you think, Damo, in regards to Sydney FC?
If I've got any more spots in my top 4,
Yeah, we
I think the Everton's in my top 4.
I think that's
Four
just
and a
top-
half,
that's
three and a half,
top 4
three and a
ever.
I
half.
think that's it, man. They got
Yeah.
me in there.
So 6 teams in the top 4 for you, Damo. Yep,
Everyone
cool.
makes finals football. Though. That's illegal.
Banana, what are your thoughts?
Oh, oh, fucking hell.
You can't dismiss
I don't
them,
like
eh?
to say it, but yeah.
Yeah.
They're in that top 4. I'm gonna say the 2 Melbournes and us 2 Sydneys.
Yeah.
We're in there.
Okay. Well, look, let's for our sake, let's hope they miss the finals. But it's
No,
pretty.
I'd like for them to make it, and we beat them.
Oh, we beat them in the final. Hey,
Beat
let's
them.
let's
It's
let's.
semi whatever, and then we get knocked out after that.
Okay.
We get knocked out after that.
Be standard. Bro.
We'll finish third. Cool. Let's finish off the Sydney teams and jump into Macarthur. And this is the smoky for me, because looking at some of the names that they've brought in, and them being that obviously they're the new team, but you look at them and it was always a Sydney derby, was always West Sydney Wanderers, Sydney FC. Now Macarthur's in the picture, and they're making enough noise to be annoying. So that's in my opinion. But you look at Davia, you look at De Silva, Tommy Urich, Craig Noon, Uskok, Jordan Much from West Sydney Wanderers, which not a big deal, but Philip Curto from Western United. There's some solid names that they've brought into that squad. I know they've lost a lot as well in Mark Milligan, Adam Federici, and a few others. But that's some pretty good recruitment.
Probably everyone there is for their starting 11, right?
You
Yeah.
think so?
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
pretty close to it.
Yeah.
Jordan March,
He's probably-
ended. He didn't
He
do
hasn't
much
done
at,
much.
at Wanderers,
Yep,
but when
yep.
he did, he done the job. You know,
Yeah,
so
fair.
Yeah, he wasn't the standout player that we probably thought he could be, but he was also only there for 6 months. Like
Yeah,
we
that's
knew
it.
Yeah.
we knew he was sort of on trial, and obviously he's moved over. I have a feeling that Central Coast has signed Muller from us, but I thought he was on his way to Macarthur. But looking at Macarthur, they're going to miss their goal scorer. Is it Derbyshire? That was playing there last season. They're going
Gone,
to,
huh?
yeah, he's departed by the looks of things. I know they're going to obviously miss him, and I think they're 2 Spanish signings from last year. They were running the midfield. They've left. Yep. But still, there, like you said, Damo, these are signings for their starting 11, and I think they're going to be pretty solid. For me, they're edging it out with Western Sydney Wanderers for that, 4th, 5th, 6th.
you reckon?
4th, 5th, 6th in that area for me. I don't know. What do you reckon, Butch?
They got the players. I've seen some players that they've lost. I know Milligan retired. Franich is he's gone too.
He's
I
gone,
thought
yeah.
he was decent. He went to
Heidelberg.
Heidelberg. What's going on here,
Oh,
mate?
easy.
Heisenberg. Where's he going, mate? Season 3 or something. But like, I don't know. I don't. I think they'll be up there for a bit, but then towards the end of the season, I think they could drop out. But isn't there some issue with them? You know,
There's a bit of a red flag on the play.
red flag
red flag
about
on
some
Urich,
people
huh?
don't want to take
Vaccine.
the double,
poison.
the double V's and all that. So who knows what the manager as well? I'm hearing is it the manager
Yeah,
too.
he's in a
So
bit of strife too with that.
so who knows what's happening there? You know, are they gonna let them play? If they don't, do they have to wait till the December 1st thing or the 14th, whenever the
Yeah, whatever that
Whatever
may
the
be.
ruling
So,
is, so
so
it
do
might
we
be
know
they
if it's a
might-
club issue or
I
if
don't
it's a
know,
league issue that requires players to get vaccinated to play?
No idea, bro.
Oh,
No
with this
idea.
Anyway, I can't keep up with that
Yeah,
bullshit
yeah.
anymore anyway.
I've got my two, and then that's it. Forget about
That's
it.
it, bro.
I'll do
As
the-
long as you're all right,
Fake
Butch.
ones.
As long
if
as
they,
you get.
if they need a fill-in, a ring
Whoa.
in, if they need a ring in, I mean, I'm available.
Aren't you subbing in for the local pensioners FC at
Well,
the?
I am as well. I am as well. You know, I'm one day. I could be Tommy Urich one week, and then Nicky the other
I saw
week.
you
And then-
play,
yep.
bro. There's no contracts there.
There's no, mate.
It's,
I've got a foot injury at the moment, but you know,
he's definitely
Throwing
picked one up.
excuses already.
excuses
Injury
already.
replacement
But
Damo picks up 1 goal, reshaping the whole team. But
from halfway, by the way.
but look, for me, like I said, 4th, 5th, 6th. Butch, just to finish off what you were saying in regards to where they finish.
maybe seventh. Maybe they'll just drop out.
Okay.
They'll just drop out.
Damo?
I think. Look, another one for the top 4.
Do you know what? Do you know what? They could. I think they could
Bro,
make the
like,
six. They could make the six.
I'm not going to say much because last season was their first year. Kind of like the Wanderers. Everyone was probably buzzing, for the area and their
Second
players.
season syndrome.
But on paper, they got the players to do it, but we'll see if they can,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
can fill a side.
It's a tricky
They'll be
one.
finals football, but I reckon.
And Banana, what do you think?
I can just
yeah.
top 6, just scraping.
Just top 6. Okay.
Scraping.
All right. Well, let's see how it works out for MacArthur.
They'll be in that dogfight down there, They'll
Yeah.
probably get in, they won't. Dogfight.
Yeah, they're just going to be
Last
that
game.
really
It'll be the
pesty
last game.
team.
You
I reckon.
won't know.
I reckon they're going to be that pesty team that loses to lesser opposition and gives the better opposition a lot of grief. I think that
Like
that's
Western United. Pest,
yeah,
pest.
just going to be like that. Let's talk. Let's get all the way to the other side of the country and talk
we go.
about some
Here we
haircuts
go.
and fades and Daniel Sturridge and Perth Glory.
This is where it's happening, mate. It's happening over here.
Should we send RCV in for a podcast? See if we can get him on.
Could try.
Well-
We can try. We'll see. I think Damo had him on the phone earlier. So
Liverpool legend.
I mean, look, if you look at who they've brought in, I think one notable mention that a lot of people sort of forget because of the whole Daniel Sturridge thing is Brad Jones, goalkeeper that
Yeah.
played for Liverpool
well, yeah.
as well. So he's almost like an Adam Federici. Like
Yeah.
he was that guy that you could have signed but you didn't, and then he had a really good season last year for MacArthur and always a fringe Socceroo.
Yeah.
Similar with Brad Jones, he's just come up against some really classy goalkeepers in the Australian
Probably wrong.
setup.
Yeah, wrong kind of
Wrong era.
generation. Wrong
Yeah.
era. Yeah, that's what I said.
Wrong era, but I look at obviously we sort of touched on it like Valafi, no longer.
Mate, Tando
Well, that's what
Valafi,
you are,
Lee,
yeah.
I'm ready. Get out of here. Look, it's about time. We needed a new keeper. Like, I didn't care who it was. Liam Reddy, look, he's all right, but he's not good enough. Like the errors that he makes doesn't really make up for the saves that he pulls off.
He's still in the squad.
He's still in the He's still in the squad.
Reddy's still there.
He's still there.
mate.
I
He's
just
still
seen
there.
it.
We're
Like
there.
Fred's.
Yeah,
No, yeah.
it's his 6th club, so I don't know how many more people
Nah,
were willing
look,
to sign him.
Look, with Valapi, we've had him for like years before that. He's gone around, done the A-League, lap
Victory,
of honor,
Melbourne,
lap of honor. He's done that. So and he's come back here, but he just wasn't good enough, and he was never really going to start over Liam Reddy, anyways.
Yep.
But look, I think with some of the signings that we've made, Brandon O'Neill, I think he's in
Good
terms of Sturridge, I think he's one of maybe our most important signing because we've lost Diego Castro. I think every time Diego Castro played, it was pretty much we're getting the goals and getting the wins. When he wasn't in the squad, that's where we're dropping the points because he was the only one really creating. So I think with O'Neill coming in, hopefully he can take maybe that role. And then we've Fornaroli, we still got Andy Keogh,
Yep.
Sturridge up front. There is goals. I'm just a bit concerned with our defense because last year we're a little bit shaky. Richie Garcia doesn't really change it up. I think a few times last season.
No
with these-
plan B.
No plan B, mate. Like some Liverpool managers in there. No plan B. I mean, we got our wing. We play this wing back system at times, and Otto doesn't come back. So we always gets caught out. So he's a good player. I mean, bro, put him left wing and bring someone else that can play that right back position. But
yeah, it's not the strongest back line.
It's not.
Like you look at some of the names and you're like, oh, they would struggle to probably start in other A-League teams.
Games, you reckon?
Yeah. Well, it will be leaky, but then also unless they fix that, they try to fix that in pre-season, which I don't know with the rest of the squad there, but it'll be interesting to see. I still think we got enough just to make it. I think
6.
I think we're with MacArthur, Western United, where we're going to be fighting for the 5th, 6th spot there, and I think maybe we just get in. But other than that, looks going to be an interesting season to see what happens with this squad now.
Arguably one of the best marquees we've had in more recent years with Daniel Sturridge. Do you think he's going to have the impact on the game with potentially the hype that's coming with him?
I hope so. I just think by looking at some of the videos that and obviously the social media, I know there's a lot of the times there's a bit more banter involved, but I think he doesn't take this league seriously.
Yeah.
Holiday.
Yep.
I wouldn't say holiday.
Yeah, but I just think the way like in the press conference, he's sitting there like, bro, do you know who I am? It's kind of that. It kind of just feels like that. Like, do you know who I am? I'm Sturridge asking me these questions about all this. You know who I am?
Yeah, he just thinks he's better than the league.
If he can put the numbers up, if he can get like 15 goals this season, if he can contend, or 10 goals, I don't know. What was thing on McLaren on last season? He had a fair few goals. He was up there. If he can get the goals for us, just does his job. I mean, I think we only have him for a year, so if we can get him playing, yeah. But then the whole persona of him being injury prone, that's a whole nother thing. And then the heat. These English players come across, and they don't like the heat. When they have to play in 40 degrees, especially over there in Perth, and see how he goes. But the one thing,
hot Sunday afternoon,
Sunday afternoons, like 3 o'clock kickoffs there. But one thing that might hurt us to begin the season, our first game is at home to Adelaide, then we play 10 away games in a row.
Oof.
Because of COVID, because of the borders and all that stuff, what's happening with Perth. If we can jag some decent results in that 10 or 9 game run away, then
do you have a backup?
Well, backup squad.
No, the backup for Sturridge.
Well, we got Andy Keogh and Fornaroli, so you do got one backup. But I just think the whole traveling thing, sleeping in hotels, moving here, moving there, not going back to Perth.
Yep.
And then when they do go back to Perth, I think they might have to quarantine.
Burn out hard.
Depending, I think it might be until end of January, till maybe the next home game. So.
But if you pick up the results along the way, then you're going for a strong run home.
That's right. That's right. But that's
so you just got to make sure you keep the faith between now and then, because if things start to falter, do you give up the season? Not to give up the season, but you almost like it's almost too hard to come back.
Almost too hard to come back. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. But Banana Damo, what do you think about Daniel Sturridge and how he's going to go for Perth?
Listen, if he's not injured and he's not out, man, he can do something. He can do something. But like the only thing I don't like about this, like when they bring players like this down, they don't focus around the team. You know what I mean? They don't spend big on the team because they spend all the money on this bloke.
Yeah.
And he's only here for a year. And he's only here for a year as well.
Yeah,
so it's like
the only hindering thing I don't like about these signings. But if he does the, if he's
if
not
he does the
injured,
job,
man,
he does the
he
job.
can do
That's
something,
it, yeah.
bro. Let's not muck
Does he carry them into the finals?
No, I honestly
gonna miss
don't reckon
out?
they'll get there. I reckon like they'll be like MacArthur or something.
Yeah.
When you play them at home, it'll be hard. It'll be difficult. But away, like you're saying, they're playing 10 games away.
Yeah, something like that, bro.
Fuck, bro. That's not easy, bro. Especially for Perth, man.
Damo?
Yeah, I'd love to see.
Because you're a Liverpool boy,
yeah,
so
bro, man. I want to watch him play. I want to see him score some goals. I think it's just good for the league in general. If he's scoring and in Perth, traveling, especially with a lot of away games. If it's going to be a tough game when they come, it's going to be good for the league. But then again, it's very typical for players like him to come over here and, get a bit overwhelmed by, the tough football and
Physical
tackles and whatnot. And like Borch said, the heat's going to play a factor. I know he's injury prone, sorry. So
and he sits out every second game.
I
And
don't
then
know how much running he's going to want to do, but if he gets the service, man, he's going to score goals. That's simple as that.
Yep. So do you see them in your top four?
Yeah, I see them actually. Nah, bro. I think they're either going to struggle real bad because of what's going to go on with all the away games and stuff like that. Or probably just another mid-table team. I don't think,
maybe
I don't know.
just.
And then on top of that, manager-wise,
That's another thing. I was just about to say that. I was just about to say that.
All right,
like,
he just started.
but you're not seeing it. You're not seeing it progressing.
They went on the El Cheapo on the manager. Huh?
Yeah, they've done that.
And look at
They're
that.
not Wanderers.
And they had, if he wasn't going to be the right guy, they had time because he finished off the season last year for them. So they had time to go and find somebody if they wanted to, but clearly that's not the direction that they go. Or they're backing him. Let's say they're backing him and he goes and signs Daniel Sturridge. But let's see how that goes. But I'm thinking they might, similar to the boys, they might scrape to 6. They're in that 5, 6, 7 battle for me, even maybe 8. Let's go all the way across the ditch and go to Wellington.
The distance derby.
The distance my favourite derby.
In Wellington Phoenix, guys, like I've looked at Wellington Phoenix and I just think they've just got 12th written all over them. I don't see much in terms of the manager or even
hand in your resignation.
Right there, I'm looking at there.
Yeah, it is a big list of departures, and there's some pretty big names that carried them throughout their season. Obviously, Stephen Taylor was coming to the end. Tom Ahmed comes over to Western Sydney Wanderers. De Villa is a big one that goes to MacArthur because he carried their season. Cameron Devlin was also another one that was pretty good for them. And the list goes on. And the problem is the people that have come in. I'm trying to find a name that sort of shouts out at me, and there's not really that many. To be honest,
I honestly think there's one player in there that could carry that team.
Who's that?
Soterio.
Oh, mate. Bananas last episode on the football capital after today. But, and you know what? He was a prime figure for them during their run, and he did pick up a few goals, but never really made it for Western Sydney Wanderers. And looking at this squad, I actually counted the players. I think they've got like 3 or 4 spots still available in the squad because they're only carrying 21 or 22.
They might have to get some youth if they have a youth squad.
Yeah.
I honestly think, I don't know what the situation is, whether or not they're still going to base themselves out of Wellington.
The first couple of games, I think.
I think that
not Wellington.
out of Wollongong.
Yeah, they're still there for a bit.
Yeah, and I think what might happen, I know it's just a prediction, that they might sign some on loan players from either the A-League fringe or even from MPL. You just never know.
That's bad, bro. That's bad.
And
in the A-League and you're doing that, that's bad.
That's the thing, right? How does that reflect on the league? And there's always been that sort of conversation around, if they ever won the league, how would they play in the Asian Champions League? Do they forfeit their spot? Type thing, because they're technically not part of the New Zealand Federation is not part of Asia, but I just look at this and I go, this is not a team that excites me.
Worthy, right?
Yeah, it's really not something that's put together very well.
I think Reno Piscopo is probably the only main man. To be honest, I think last year he was.
I'm surprised someone's taking him.
That's I know. And maybe they can't afford to take him. If he's on a bit of a contract there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with the departures that we're seeing here, I mean, he was the only one, maybe the only spark they had last season. If they get rid of him,
I thought for sure he'll end up at Melbourne Victory for sure.
Yeah.
You just never know, right? And like, damn, I don't know how you feel about it, but I just think it's disappointing. Like the makeup of that squad. Considering for a couple of years we sort of looked at Central Coast Mariners and thought they were really bad, but they turned the tide. But just looking at that team, does that what does that do for you? Looking at it from an A-League fan perspective.
Yeah, I don't know how you can see them, outside of the bottom 3, right? Especially after what they did last season. Like they were a team kind of, I don't know. It was a good side to watch, football wise. They were playing well, and they had a little support there in Wollongong. But I think they're going to.
They were missing. They were just missing that final product in the end. Like there was how many games in the beginning? I think maybe 8. I don't think they got a win.
I think dead last for me as well, bro. I'm going with Kev. I reckon. Wellington, Phoenix, dead last. Wooden spoon. Yeah.
It's going to be a tough one for Wellington boys, but let's move on because obviously it's looking very dire for them. Let's go to Newcastle Jets. An interesting one.
It's an basket case.
So looking at that squad,
It's a whole squad rotation.
it is. It literally is. You're looking at
What
about.
is that like 2 pages?
I can't fit them on the same screen. It's about 15 players in and out, and there's a lot of experience that has left Newcastle, which is they're probably in that rebuild phase similar to what Central Coast was doing a couple of seasons back. But the names that have come in don't necessarily match the names that have left, and it looks scary. Probably one notable mention that a player that I've liked in the A-League for a while is Jordan Elsey, good defender out of Adelaide who's come across. So it's going to be interesting. They've got Matt German, Dane Ingham. They've got who else they got here? Jordan Elsey, which I've mentioned. A couple of standouts, and Eli Babaj. Is that right? Free agent. Yeah, it looks like he's signed. So, but they've
Ali Abbas, can I say that?
Ali Abbas has left.
He's
Oh,
left.
he's left. I thought he'd be
Yeah, he came back and left. Joey Champness, I think, might be maybe given another shot in his rap career, or something like that.
Who's the one that went to the fashion course, mate? What's he doing running Milan Fashion Week?
Who was that?
Isn't he from the Wanderers?
Kwame Yeboah.
Yeah, he's
Yeboah.
going Milan Fashion Week. We got one who's back in his rap career. Never know, mate. The A-League brings the best out of people.
It's looking at Newcastle, I definitely think they're a bottom half of the table type team.
Fighting with fucking Wellington.
Yeah, Wellington. I think it's going to be dire for them. That they don't really look like they've done anything in terms of the recruitment or the style of football that they want to play. But you just never know, right?
It looks like they need to do something, bro. Not do nothing, bro. Do something, brother.
Yeah.
That is bad, bro.
If there's any Newcastle Jets fans that want to tell us otherwise, please jump into the comments when you get a chance. But I endeavour to get out there and watch a few games with Newcastle and Central Coast up that way. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm thinking bottom half.
Yeah,
boy.
bottom two.
That'll be better.
But I look. Just a quick touch on Matt German, new captain. Good on him. He's back in the A-League. So hope he does well, and I hope for his sake, that it's not bottom half. They push for the top 6, but I think it's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough one. But let's go to the F3 derby because that is happening this weekend. And just conscious that the Central Coast Mariners have been on a bit of a high the last couple of seasons, and we want to see how they're going to obviously finish off this whole build or rebuild, whatever you want to call it. They have brought in some names and lost a few. Nikolai Muller from West Sydney Wanderers, who we know, had a lot of potential. We enjoyed watching him play, but didn't quite fit under the new Carl Robinson system. And then there's a few other players in Storm Rue, who's just been like a stalwart of the A-League since his time in Wellington, Melbourne. How do we see Central Coast sort of faring out? Because they did lose Alec Qual, who was their youngster that was coming through the ranks. So where are the goals going to come from type thing?
Yeah. He went to Germany, didn't he?
Stuttgart, yeah.
That's right, yeah. I think it's back to reality, I think, for the Mariners for this season. They were, like you said, on a high last season, at the top of the table for a bit, weren't they?
Yeah, they held their own.
Yeah, they
held their own.
It was a bit of catch up for the rest of them, but I think they might drop out this season out of the top 6. I think they might be hanging around the 9th position, 9-10 maybe.
Yeah,
I don't. And you know what it is? I think supporters this season are going to make a big difference, and I don't think they have enough support in the big games or in the crunch games, like maybe the derby against now Newcastle, to maybe get them over the line.
Yep.
They're going to need that individual brilliance, like we were saying with Kyle there. Players like that. I think
they just give you that little something extra.
Something extra. Now with him not there, and I don't see. Looking at their lineup, Matty Simon, is he still here?
He is. I was
still.
about to say, how long does he last? Like this has got to be it, right?
I thought you were going to say how long till a red card comes out.
Oh yeah, that's that too. F3 derby this weekend, so catch it.
FA Cup, mate. Straight elbow to one of the players' face.
Yeah, but he's that kind of player, right? Like you don't mind having him in your team, but you hate playing against him.
Yeah,
you hate
yeah.
him if you're the opposition. Just and he pops up with some goals, right? Like he's
always,
not.
always, mate. He's on a run.
Penalties, I mean.
Yeah,
right?
penalties.
You'll always remember him from the A League, but I'm predicting definitely towards the bottom half anyway. But even further down below, sort of with the Wellington Phoenixes of this league.
Wellington fighting it out.
Yeah, yep. Over to Brisbane, boys. This is going to be an interesting one for Brisbane Roar. Just you know what, they've been one of those teams who's been consistently performing over the last couple of years, and they're not back to their glory days of when Ange Postecoglou took them on that run, and they haven't been that standout Brisbane Roar team. But I think the decline is going to continue. For me, just having a look at Brisbane Roar, for me that not re-signing Wenzel Halls is a big one, and Jamie Young's been so strong for them for a number of years.
As long as I can remember, eh?
Yeah, right. Like, and before that they had Theo. What was his full name? Can't remember.
He changed it to Theo.
He
He changed it to Theo,
right? Yeah. So
Theo Lopakos.
so they've always had a
Surname
good
is too long.
goalkeeper. Yeah, but they've always had a good goalkeeper between the sticks, and I don't know who's taken over. I don't know who's deputising now. But having a look at that team, Borch, going to go over to you. Where do you sort of see this team sitting, this season, and do you think they're going to be trending up or down?
Do you know what? Brisbane's always that team. Like the last couple of rounds, they just sneak in to the top six.
Yep.
But I think I'm with you, bro. I think the decline might continue this season, and not just for sure. I think they fall completely out of the running this season. I know every other year they make this fucking last push at the end and they get there, but not this year. I don't think, because I think looking at the other teams, how they have brought players in and strengthened these guys, very similar to the Mariners and maybe Newcastle, where
They've made the signings, but they're not quite.
They're not quite up
It's
there.
50-50.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're gonna get. I think they're bringing a few. Son, just
They've
youth
got
players in, man. They've brought in.
Mili Jusnic has come across. That's probably the most notable mention that I can see here. Within that, they signed the young striker from Sydney FC. Ivanovic. So again, I don't get that.
But that's the thing. Like when you're looking at the players teams signed, and I know Perth signed Brandon O'Neill and all that, right? But when teams lose players from your Victories, your Melbourne Cities, and your Sydney FCs, it's more likely that they're not that good. They're not good enough to be in that squad, right? Maybe that what was his name, Ivanovic, maybe he gets that spark coming into this team, maybe more game time.
Yep. He sees
And
the
they can get-
opportunity.
He sees the opportunity, maybe. But when usually, like, I look at some of these teams, what they got, like Olympic FC and all these, like, the clubs that they recruit from, which is good
Yeah.
because you want to promote maybe the youth to come through.
Yeah. From a national.
But I just think, maybe in a couple of years, maybe 1 or 2 seasons, once they get they get used to the league, maybe. But I just think not this year for Brisbane.
Yeah, I think from a national setup, you're right. Like, you want to see that promotion from the leagues below, and it helps us as a country develop those
like
talents.
Instead of, like, for example, instead of getting like a Daniel Sturridge for this season, you get someone in who's playing for the Perth or whatever their national, who's even
Get
the
a rough
national
diamond is what you get.
rough
Get a
diamond, and then in a
rough
couple of
rough
years you
gem,
got
shine it up.
that's right. Maybe that's it. That's what Brisbane are maybe looking to go for. You never know, and especially with COVID. Sorry to cut you off. With COVID, we know signings and money gets involved. A lot of clubs, they don't have that. So maybe this is the way that some clubs need to go.
Yeah, maybe a financial thing, because Brisbane's always had that sort of issue in terms of finances, and I don't see Brisbane as being that club where it's big rugby league.
Well, they
in
play.
the town.
Well, I don't know if they're still playing at Suncorp, because
No, I think they're at Redcliffe, the Dolphins Stadium, I think it is.
That's
Memory?
right. So it's like the money they were paying just to rent out Suncorp. Then I don't know if they're gonna. I'm not sure if they're going back there or what the thing is. But like you said, the financial side of the football, it hurts some of these teams.
Yeah, I don't mind the idea of returning to those, not suburban grounds, but the smaller stadiums that are more purpose built for football. But Damo, where do you see them?
Yeah, I think they're going to struggle this year, man.
Top four.
Top four, bro. That's for sure. But I don't
Bottom
understand
four.
some of their, like, all right, if they're going to, have a rebuild season or two and promote youngsters, fair enough. But then you go and get rid of Dylan Wenzel-Halls, who had a good season. He's a youngster who scored goals against pretty much all the clubs, right?
Who was a youngster?
You know what
He
I mean?
should have been.
So I don't understand their
build around.
their
Something to build
thinking
around.
behind that. Yeah, that's why. I
But
think
then it could be a financial thing where they had to let him go for whatever.
Yeah, man. But he wouldn't have been like a big money. He was just trying to break in, and obviously he did now. So I think that's a big loss for them. So they'll probably struggle.
Yeah, and yeah, it's almost like, to Borges' point, they're going to make do with what they can get because of all the circumstances that surround them. But again, for me, towards the bottom of the pack, and we'll move on to lucky last. Adelaide United, a bit of a soft spot for me. Love the city of Adelaide, but it's dealt us a blow a couple of years back when we went to the grand final there and lost it. But looking at their team, 3 big names for me that leave that team were Jordan Elsey, Tommy Urich, and Al Hassan Toure. For me, that's a bulk of not so much the experience, but some really good players that have demonstrated their ability in the A-League, and now they move on to 2 of them to Macarthur, 1 to Newcastle, and I just think but you know what? In fact, it's a big job for them to replace these players. In saying that, Adelaide know how to find a youngster. They know how to find that talent. So I don't know, boys. What do you think about Adelaide United this season, Banana?
Them again, bro. They're always like in the same spot, man. They're always up there. They're a little bit down. They come up. For me, they only play good when they're at home, man. Apart from that, they don't play good away. I don't know, not much of an impact.
They're not the most attractive team to watch either.
Yeah, they're not the best team
Right,
to watch.
yeah.
They're like another pest team. You need a win, they're gonna ruin it for you.
They're gonna, and they've ruined it plenty of times for
Was it a 3 or something?
it was something ridiculous.
I
Yeah,
don't enjoy watching them play, bro.
yeah, it was, wasn't it? Something
3 or wasn't it?
stupid like that.
Or you got him at the end.
2-2.
Juki at the end with the winner.
I think so. No, I think it was 2-4.
4-3. No,
They've got a good support over there. But you know
Oh,
what I mean?
I remember
They're
that
always
game. I remember the 4-3
wasn't
game.
it last season?
I think it was season before, maybe. But yeah, Adelaide United. I just think, man, I think they got a good brand because they are like the Adelaide side, and I think Adelaide, they love their football. They definitely get a pretty decent crowd majority of the time, regardless of how their team is going. But they're just that outlier team that I don't think they're going to do much this season to upset a lot of the other A-League clubs that have recruited really well. So, bottom for me, I think, Butch, you're on the same page.
Yeah, kind of. I think top half of the bottom,
Yep.
Um,
sort of like the 8th.
8, 9, around there.
Yep.
That could maybe cause a little bit of a problem for teams like Perth. Maybe cause a problem for us.
Yep.
And it's a big game for us this week because we have Adelaide, and it's our first home game, and then that run that we go on. So they could cause a problem there, cause a bit of an upset. But yeah, around that 8, 9, 8.
Okay. Boys, similar sort of opinion on Adelaide?
Same.
Yeah. Well, what we'll do now, we've covered all the teams. We'll go into some predictions. We'll do a couple of little bits and pieces here. But, boys, just an idea. I give you a few moments. Start thinking about your golden boot for the season. So, who's going to take out that golden boot? I think it's going to be pretty interesting, considering all the attacking players that have now come back into the league, and how they're going to service those front men. I would like to see a Tom Mohamed, but I don't think. I think the goals are going to be shared around the park for Western Sydney Wanderers. So for me, it's going to go to, probably somebody like a. If he's fit and he's playing, somebody like a Bobo that's come back to Sydney FC, put a bit of a dark horse if he starts games. I just think Ninkovic is an amazing player who definitely continues to deliver season after season. A little bit quieter last year, and he'll have, the favourite would definitely be McLaren, but for me, sort of like a dark horse would be Bobo if he's playing games, because I know they brought him back sort of with the whole Lafondra situation, and you just never see how he's how it's going to pan out. But Damo, your prediction?
Yeah, like everyone's going to say, McLaren's going to be up there. I think Tommy Urich might have a bit of a season. They've got a lot of
If he gets the
players.
jab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he plays
He's
right.
already off, isn't he?
If he does play, I reckon, he's a proven goal scorer, and they've got a lot of players who can assist him and whatnot. I think they can, or he can do something anyway this season.
Yep. Banana,
Yeah, let's not be silly here. McLaren, bro.
McLaren.
McLaren, straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with Lecky beside him, or you'll think Lecky will be beside him. I think
Yep.
the more even more goals for McLaren this season. But look, Fornaroli's there.
Yeah.
Fornaroli gets the
Hanging
goals,
on
mate.
to Melbourne City still. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
look,
say,
you're
yeah.
hanging on, but he gets the goals, and he's last season he did pretty good for us. I know there's no Castro to set most of them goals up, but there's no Kilkenny and there's no Castro to take the penalties. So
Daniel
He probably
Sturridge is stepping up. Don't worry about that.
all right, we don't know, but even that Daniel Sturridge could be another one in the hat, like you're saying, for a bit of a dark horse to come in. But yeah, you can't go past at the moment Jamie McLaren. For Golden Boot again. I mean, what did he score, like 4 or 5 goals in the derby, Melbourne derby last season? Was it
Something like that.
Something
4 goals?
crazy.
Yeah,
but yeah, he
some record there.
was just
so-
on fire. All right, well let's see how
Who's your one? Would you just say
me or
yeah.
You can
me
do.
Bobo.
Bobo, yeah.
Yeah, I sort of dark horse.
Fat pizza.
Dark
yeah,
horse.
big and
I
then
ju-
cheesy.
Yeah, you just never know. You just never know. I think now if we can, boys, start having to think about who are the premiers, who win the regular season. For me is I think it's going to go pretty hard to go past Melbourne City. With that front three that they're going to possess, just the attacking options and
It's
how.
not even a front three anymore. It's like a front six. Fuck me.
Yeah, it's just
They've doubled up. on
Diamond.
it.
They're playing the
Ridiculous, bro.
diamond.
Yep. But so yeah, Banana, your thoughts
Fucking, what's this for premiers?
for premiers? Yep.
If it's not the Wanderers, mate, that's what I know.
Well, no, he had City and Victory as 1 and 2, so
I'm
he's
gonna
got to split between
I'm
them.
gonna go City, bro. They're like if they keep going the way they're going, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, Damo.
Yeah, I think you got to say City for premiers. Yeah.
Yep, that's strong and Borch.
Yeah, you can't get past
No,
that. bro.
no dark horses here. All right, well, I'm gonna leave it with this one for each of you to wrap up the conversation. So we're gonna go the grand finalists and who wins it. So I'm gonna say Melbourne City versus the 4th or 5th place Western Sydney Wanderers in the final.
Wow.
We'll be born for finals football, and if we go that far, this is going to be the year that we actually win a grand final. We've lost 3. We're definitely going to win this one. So I'm going to go Western Sydney Wanderers for grand final winners. Borch,
Well, indeed.
I'm putting
Well,
it out
indeed.
there.
Putting
I'm
it
putting
out
it
there.
out there.
Oh, Perth Glory definitely is going to win it. Nah, look, Melbourne City in the final, and I think it will be a Melbourne derby, bro. Melbourne victory.
Nice, unbelievable.
Popovich knows somehow. Popovich just gets the team to the final, but unfortunately, Papa does what he does best.
He
And
loses them.
He loses them. But you never know what could happen. Like you were saying with the Wanderers, 4th time lucky. What's that for Popovich? What, about the same? 3,
Yeah,
4.
yeah.
So
Three with Western Sydney and 1 with Perth.
one with Perth,
Yeah.
right? So but I think if he does get to a final, he could win it. But I think City get it double
City.
back to back. They do it again.
They're doing it again. All right,
Maybe
Damo.
even a treble with the FFA Cup. You never know.
Oosh.
Obviously, City's going to be there, and I think Sydney is going to get there again.
So replay of
replay.
I can
last
see it
year.
happening, man. I know we said they might die off in the end, but they always
Always get
seem
there.
to be there, get results and whatnot. So
And who takes it out?
I think Sydney can do it.
Sydney FC.
Yeah, man.
Whoa, okay, all right. Sydney.
Bobo gets the golden boot on the final day, huh?
Oh, you never know. You never know. We'll see
Those
it.
count. Those don't count in the finals.
They,
No,
oh, they
don't
do,
count.
mate. They all count.
You know what, boys?
Pele was counting him in training, mate. Don't worry about that.
Bobo might be lucky to score 5 this season. I don't know. You just never know with that squad with Sydney FC. They've got a bit of depth. But Banana, your grand finalist, and who takes it
I'm
out?
going with the same, bro. Melbourne Derby, I reckon again.
Melbourne
Not
Derby.
again, but Melbourne Derby.
Okay, and who wins it?
I'm gonna go City, bro. Just more attacking wise.
Melbourne City. Oh, there you go. There's a Melbourne
For the
City.
double.
Melbourne
For the
City.
double twos in a row.
So all 4 of us have predicted Melbourne City to make the grand final. 2 have predicted for them to win it, and then the other 2 have predicted the other 2 Sydney sides to make it in. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how the season plays out, because one thing that we don't take into consideration is
I'm looking forward for both Melbourne teams, both Sydney teams. How we're gonna go. This is gonna be the season where how it should be.
these are the
Big
4
teams, the
big
For me,
teams.
these are the 4 big teams, man.
Yep.
And I'll say Adelaide underneath.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
by a bee's dick.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Obviously, you know, with the whole COVID thing, you know, travel, the whole Perth situation with what they've got to deal with. Same with the Wellington Phoenix, although their squad isn't quite where it needs to be, and the recruitment of the Western Sydney Wanderers and some of the other clubs is going to be an interesting A-League season. Boys, I want to say thanks for joining me on the show. We will be doing review shows every week. You will also see myself outside some of the stadiums doing some interviews with fans, not just the Western Sydney Wanderers games, but all other games around Sydney, and we're going to do some maybe away days that we're planning for the football capital. But thanks, boys, for joining me. And thanks for Banana from RBTV for joining us as well. And we'll catch you on the next episode.
See you.
See you later.